last week we were chatting with Greg Scoresby, the CEO of Campus Logic, and he talked about building a recruiting culture and how he, to this day, is spending at least half his time on LinkedIn stalking people, light stalking, or sourcing people. And I think that's a super important piece of any CEO role. So I'd be curious, like you mentioned, making sure everyone's growth paths and purpose is aligned with the business. When you were hiring people, how did you ensure that you were hiring the right type of people that would feel that way coming into work every day?
Yeah, this I think is going to be my favorite question because I think this is just like where I've always been successful and building great teams. And so I think it's a pretty simple formula for me. I think as a CEO, one thing you can do is you can have whether it's your people ops or your direct reports who are hiring for departments, make sure that they're getting all the functional stuff kind of out of the way. But the three things that I think are really big for me is, one, I'm always, especially when you don't have money, if you're in a startup, right? Like I'm always looking for high potential people, right? And so the first thing I want to look for is a pattern of success. And so my interviews, as you guys both know, when I interviewed you, when we got to work together, I always say, like, start as far back as you think is relevant in telling your story, right? And people were like, what? Like, I'm in this interview, I just want to talk about my current job and how good I am at it. And I'm asking you like stuff from high school or even like before, I mean, with younger hires, it's a little easier to get back there, but I want to know, like, did you learn how to be successful, and when in your life did you kind of, did you figure that out? And for me, it was in high school for basketball. Like I was all I cared about was basketball. Lute Olson, who was the coach at Arizona, passed away last night, which was really sad because that was my team growing up. My grandfather was a coach of the U of A, and so I got kind of like I am now with startups. I just got completely obsessed with basketball, and I learned that if I really worked hard on it and stayed focused, I could kind of start passing up people who were better than me the year before in junior high or whatever. And so that's where I learned the discipline of kind of my workouts, my training, my focus that made me successful there. And then I was able to apply that to other things, right? So academically in high school, I was like a 2.8 GPA, right? And people were like, what? Like, how did that happen? And then I got to college and I decided to apply these same like patterns to academics as well as basketball. And I had like a 3.9 and my parents were like, what is going on? Like, how did you get such good grades? But I was actually interested in trying. And so I want to find out people's pattern of success, right? Show me times that you've been able to apply that. The more times, the better. And I think what's really hard for people is that they, if you're hiring younger folks because you don't have a lot of capital, you have this like really short period of time to figure out if they know how to be successful. And so that's number one. Number two is I want your passion as an employee to be in line with the job that we're asking you to do, right? And so an easy one on this is we just hired an awesome marketing director, Vishal, at PrimeGov. And when I ask him, I always ask this question: tell me about your hobbies, what books you're reading, right? And if he's like, oh, 50 Shades of Grey is like, my thing, and this is what I, and Harry Potter, you're like, oh, okay, cool. But like his answer, of course, is all these different marketing books, oh, I'm reading this and I've got these marketing podcasts. And it's like, oh, you actually like the field that you're good in. And I think we always assume that people are like, oh, I work in this field, I must like it. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Like a third of the people actually like their jobs or like the fields that they're in. And so I don't want to hire the person who's good at a job but doesn't like it. Like attorneys is a perfect example. Like 99% of attorneys don't want to be attorneys, but like they paid for all that school and they make so much money, so they just keep doing it, but they kind of hate it. So pattern of success, if I see high trajectory, job is in line with their actual life passion. And then number three is really simple. I like to give people an opportunity that other companies wouldn't, right? Like if I find a high performer potential, someone I can really believe that's going to be an A player in the making, that loves the work that we're going to have them do, I want to give them an opportunity that they can't believe they got, right? Lauren Alexander was one of the first people I hired like this. We were hiring a marketing manager, and she had just graduated college. And it says on the rec, 3 to 5 years experience. And okay, you're still in college. Why are you applying for this job? And it's like, well, let me show you how I can do the job. And she had those other two things, and we hired her and gave her the job. And so of course it's like she's all in, right? Like, I can't believe I have this job. I'm going to go work as hard as I can, and this is going to be exciting for me. So that's basically my hiring plan is to find those 3 things. If you they need to be able to do certain hard skills, so you got to get that checked off the list. I usually didn't have to be the one checking that off the list. I would get the top 3 candidates, and I'd be looking for these things. But yeah, there you go.
I love your hiring philosophy. It's beautiful.